The rise of popularity for internet leftists has been meteoric lately, and honestly, I hate it. I hate it so much. These people suck ass. Not because their ideas are stupid, which is definitely true a lot of the time, but because most of the time these people's personalities are unbearable.
America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it.
Cannot be bared. I've just always found it really annoying that these people like to play morality police while simultaneously being some of the most obnoxious and hateful people on the internet. So in this video, I'm going to be pointing out a bunch of their hypocrisies, making fun of them as much as I possibly can, and proving that a lot of these people are full of shit. So let's get started. In this country, you can get away with a lot. You can be arrogant, you can be greedy as hell, you can even kill people, and we will praise you for it if the beat is right. But if there's one thing we can't stand here, it is a smug and condescending asshole. And no one is more smug and condescending than an internet leftist. That is a fact. Okay, so let me give this clip a little bit of context. This is FD Signifier, one of the biggest internet leftist video essayist people. That was a long ass sentence. And this is him just responding to his fans, telling him that they want him to debate somebody.
John Emrick Clark said, "I only debate my equals, all others I teach."
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
Now, I know I'm not the only one who could see a Yu-Gi-Oh villain saying some cringe shit like this, right? I only debate my equals, all others I teach. He didn't do the laugh, but in my head he did the laugh, thank you. But imagine taking yourself this seriously as a YouTuber to say some cringe shit like this unironically. I mean, damn, aren't you the guy who just made a 30-minute video on Donald Glover's hairline? So please stop acting like you're levitating above the rest of us. Next obnoxious person, Noah Samson, great friend of the channel. Now, you probably won't find him saying some Vegeta type shit like his black father FD here, but trust me, he's just as obnoxious. Just as smug, just as condescending, actually less information to learn. At least FD can teach you some stuff. Noah, no, you're not gonna learn a damn thing except what cringy white people think is funny. I'm sorry to bring race into it, but it's true. You know it's true. Only white people think that shit is funny. I'm sorry. Editor Kamal here. To give this second clip a little bit more context, Noah Samson made a video a while back airing some of his grievances on debate bros. For those of you who don't live on YouTube like me, a debate bro is somebody who basically just debates politics on Twitch or YouTube. And I just want to say, remember Noah's vibe throughout this clip, because once he's actually talking to these people in real life, the energy changes.
We need to use a couple of debate bros as our Caucasian punching bags, but they won't mind. As a matter of fact, they like it. They love it even. They love it when this happens to them, and we love to see it. This video is sponsored by White on White Crime.
Side note, once I inevitably become a dictator of America, humor like this will be punishable by death. You're welcome. But I personally just don't understand how you're going to be this smug and shitty, but then when you actually talk to the person your fucking 2-hour-long video was about, you have the energy of a little bitch.
Like
What happened to all that white girl sass, Noah XD lols? I'm confused. Help me understand.
I think I definitely came off much more antagonistic than I intended to. This video is sponsored by White on White Crime.
From where I'm standing, you look like a little ass boy whose mom went through his search history and just like, I don't remember doing that. And I'm not done making fun of this man yet, because after this dude inevitably got roasted by Vosh's fans, he goes in his fucking backyard, makes another video with this smug, obnoxious attitude, and even has the nerve to call out Vosh's fans for being ableist because they were making fun of his stutter. Noah, you don't even have a stutter in real life, so what are you talking about? And if by some weird chance you do have a stutter and you've just been hiding it from the world, my bad, okay? But like, let's relax. Ableism, Really? You're not in a fucking wheelchair, okay? You're actually the white person that's like, you know I'm 1/10 Cherokee, right? What are we gonna do about my people's land? Like, that's actually you. What is that like? Tell me. Do you like that? Do you like being this person? Do you want to change? Are you comfortable with it? I genuinely want to know. Every day of your life, you're like this? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, obviously, it's a great thing to be genuinely empathetic, but there's a huge difference between showing real compassion and pandering to get your "I'm not racist, look at me, guys" cool points.
You only see the looting of Target. You don't see the redistribution of the goods that they took from Target back to the community. Like, because a lot of these neighborhoods are now turning into fucking food deserts where you have to drive 30 minutes to an hour to go get food.
Okay, obviously that was dumb as shit, but before I have a bunch of white college kids call me an Uncle Tom, let's really break down what this man just said. He's telling grown adults that during the George Floyd riots, people were looting Targets and Louis Vuitton stores because they live in food deserts and they're unable to find food. So they were taking purses and selling them so they could go and buy food for them and their families while the government was literally paying you to stay home and not work. That's what he's saying. Now, one would say that if you have the ability to get to a Target or a Louis Vuitton store that would definitely have nice grocery stores around it during rioting hours, you probably have the ability to get there just when you want to buy your Sunday groceries, right? That would make sense. Don't be racist. Now, obviously, I'm making fun of Hassan because he's an idiot. If Hassan wants to make an argument justifying looters and rioters' actions during that time, there's an argument to be made. But to actually say that people were looting stores because they were in food deserts is the dumbest shit he possibly could have said. He just keeps topping himself of dumb shit after dumb shit. It's impressive at this point. I will say this for the record. If Hassan knows that he's stupid, I give him all the credit in the world. But for some reason, I believe he believes that he's intelligent. And that bothers me, you know? But come on, that's from like 4 years ago. Hassan's grown. He's more mature now. I'm glad you said that, random person in my comment section. Let's see what this moron just said like 4 days ago.
I think Kai being black and his audience being like black as well also will factor into the way that the media covers this. You know what I mean? Because people will immediately be like, oh, this is gang activity. Like when the Nelk Boys does something like this, or when Mr. Beast does something like this and it gets out of control, they're white, their audiences are white. So it's like, oh, these are kids that are being crazy. I mean, fucking influencers, who gives a shit? They're crazy. They should stop that, right? People will be critical of it, but they will not be critical of it in the same way that they're going to be critical of this, because we've seen stuff like this happen time and time again.
You giant clown. Nobody in internet history has ever had an event go this badly. There was never a time where Mr. Beast had 8,000 people throughout the city getting sturdy on people's cars and attacking old man's businesses. That doesn't happen every Tuesday for them. This is a one and only. And also, I watched like 10 different news people talk about this situation. The only one that talked about dangerous black teens was you. Even Fox News isn't even talking about race. Just you and people like you. I know you're trying to do the "I'm not racist" guys. I like Kai. I love his content, when we all know you don't. No one over the age of 22 can watch that shit without wanting to
donate to charity.
That is just a fact. Number two, we as black people understand that some of us are fucking annoying. We get it. Every race has that, okay? We are regular people who can use logic and reason just like anybody else. So when you see people dancing on cars and attacking old people, no matter what race they are, it's okay to say, hey, those people suck ass. And you hold them accountable, okay? The only people that are gonna think that's racist is your dumbass fans. So actually, maybe, I guess you gotta keep doing what you're doing. You know what? My bad. Never mind.
Come on, this guy sucks!
I do apologize for picking on my favorite comrade Noah again, but if you look at his entire channel, every video can pretty much be summed up to, ooh, ladies, aren't boys gross? Like, ugh. What a pussy. I do understand that that's what this website is. Now, you basically have to speak to a very specific audience to succeed, but there's something about this reverse Uno card Candace Owens motherfucker that I just find so cringe. I'm sorry. I have to make fun of him. There's just something about watching somebody just betray their own that just disgusts me. You know, it's like, I don't even care who it is. If he was an Asian dude that only made fun of Asian men, I'd be like, bro, what's your deal? You know, like, is this some sort of like weird self-hate thing you have going on? You know, it's odd. And to be fair, most of the white men that Noah makes fun of absolutely suck, and he should be making fun of them. But it just bothers me that you'll never ever see this dude make fun of any minority group that's not a Republican or plays ukulele. Like, though, that's it. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm just wired to not trust people like that. Because in my eyes, you're either just sharing a really small portion of what you actually believe so that your audience doesn't get mad at you, or you're just extremely narrow-minded and kind of dumb. Either way, in my oh so humble opinion, you suck. And I really wouldn't have a problem with these echo chambers if these people weren't so quick to judge everybody. I mean, half of you are so confused you think Joseph Stalin was some great leader. Who the fuck are you to talk about morality? It's like, are you stupid? Also, it's really ironic to me that these people love to make fun of like Republicans and white dudes, but they have the aesthetic of a Southern inbred that works at the local Jiffy Lube and has relations with his cousin. You know, I never understood that. It never made sense to me how these people can understand such nuanced things like the intricacies of gender ideology and how systemic racism can lead to poverty, which can then lead to crime, which I definitely think are good things. I mean, for the most part, if your pronouns are kitty/cat, you can definitely fuck off. But mostly, I'm here for it. Now we're at the point where if you disagree or even question any of their 10,000 talking points, you're some like racist, problematic bigot. We got leftists fighting with leftists because one thinks the other one is racist or transphobic. We got other leftists fighting with other leftists because one thinks the other is racist or transphobic. And I don't know, but when your qualifications for right and wrong are so arbitrary, it just makes me think that all of this shit is performative. It seems to me like you're just a hateful and spiteful person who hides behind this veil of progressivism and empathy to give yourself a license to be an asshole to people. And a lot of the times, the arguments that a lot of these internet leftists use to shit on people just don't make any sense at all. And the only reason they're able to get away with these weaselly ass tactics is because they're speaking to echo chambers. And the often preached transphobic accusations are a perfect example of how full of shit a lot of these people can be. So I'm going to break down a few of their arguments and prove that these people either don't know how to turn their brains on, or they're just lying for virtue signal points and YouTube views.
You guys are singularly focused and obsessed with talking about trans people. Go to their channel and type trans in the search bar, and you can see how many videos they've made on the topic. It's getting obsessive. It's getting absurd. It's getting parasitic.
So unlike Ethan and his incompetent little group here, I actually went through and counted, and I got about 22. So let's just say I missed a bunch. Let's round up to 30. That's less than 3% of their total videos. So I mean, trans people are like 2% of the population, depending on where you're at. They're about 50% of internet discourse at the time. To call that obsessed, I think is a little bit of a stretch, but you know, whatever. Ethan says even dumber shit, trust me. This is nothing.
I find it just funny on face that Abba was banned from an event for being transphobic.
The organizer told me it was about a video I did about trans people, and knowing our catalog, we've only done 2 videos about trans people. One about, only 2. One about sports.
Oh, yes.
And one about not wanting to date a transgender person.
Yes.
And so there's transgender people in sports. I mean, most feminists agree with what we're saying. So I doubt it was that one. So
they do that a lot too, where they just go, most feminists agree with this. There's lots of trans people that they fucking talk out of their ass nonstop.
Is Ethan going to be able to prove that most feminists don't agree that trans women have an unfair advantage in sports? Do you have any way to prove that, argue that, or are you just gonna talk out of your ass like a clown. Because no matter where you stand on the trans women in sports thing, I checked out the video that Ethan's referring to. I've been Preach dropped 3 links backing up what they're saying with scientific data. Ethan, are you able to do that? Are you gonna go through the links and talk about why it's wrong? Or are you gonna provide anything? Or are you just going to talk and say nothing? I don't know how you can talk for 3 hours and 41 minutes and say nothing. It's honestly a talent. You and Hassan are so good at that, it's weird. A match made in heaven.
Oh yeah, no, there's tons of trans people that agree with us. Tons of feminists that agree with us. Tons of Nazis that agree with you, probably.
Trans.
We're just throwing them out there. I think Hitler actually shared that opinion with you.
He's so dramatic. Like, oh my God, really? You go from, I think trans women have an unfair advantage in female sports, to Nazis. Really? Like, that's the jump. I know he's trying to be funny, but like, still. This is like the goofy shit they like to do.
Us not wanting to date trans people is not something that we've been shouting out at the top of our lungs our whole life. I've said it once in my life, and that was during that video. And the only reason I said it in that video was because Riley was accusing anybody who wasn't interested of being transphobic.
Okay, so I'm setting this up, but their basically response is, well, nobody likes you anyway, trans people.
Ethan, you slimy little clown. Are you going to engage with anything that they said? What are your opinions on trans women in sports? What are your opinions on a trans woman making a video saying if you don't date trans people, you're transphobic? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Do you have anything to bring to that actual conversation? Or are you just going to play a clip out of context and say that they're transphobic? Do you see how stupid that sounds? And even the clip, if you listen, doesn't sound transphobic at all. Like, this is embarrassing. You're like 40 years old and you've been doing this for a long time. And this is the best you can come up with a team of like 16 little misfits? This is actually pathetic. I'm just glad Hila's not sitting next to you, okay? Because I actually kind of like her. Okay, so let's see where they say nobody likes you anyway, trans people. That's what Ethan's saying, Abin Preacher is saying, right? Okay, let's watch them say that.
He says here that
And here's why
transphobia is trans people's fault because they're annoying, I guess.
this is extremely important, and why I think everybody should be listening to what we're saying is that if you haven't heard recently, people between the ages of 18 to 34 are actually now less accepting of LGBTQ people than they were over a year ago, and this dropped by over 8%. So what does that mean? That there's always this mantra that young people are inherently going to be more and more liberal and that they're going to be more and more this way, but we're actually seeing the opposite thing being true. And so I would tell people, part of why I think this is becoming true is that people are seeing some of the tactics that LGBTQ activists are using in order to further their agenda. And
so again, this is like really classic bigotry where it's the trans people's fault why people hate them more.
This is why I can't stand this slimy little bitch, Ethan. In what world is that classic bigotry to say, hey, this group of people, trans people, they're activists, are turning people off to the entire group because they're doing obnoxious shit? What does that have to do with the average trans person? How is that problematic? How is that transphobic? To say that your group's activists are annoying, and not even annoying to us, but it seems like they're turning people off to the entire group of LGBTQ+. That's transphobic? Are you fucking stupid? And do you see how he's just misconstruing everything that they're saying? Oh, so you're saying it's trans people's fault? No, nobody said that. He said activists. That is a huge distinction. And Ethan's loser ass lives on Twitter, so I know he knows what they're talking about. Like, you haven't seen a bunch of crazy ass trans activists who are probably just a bunch of bored straight white people who are saying all sorts of crazy dumb shit on the internet that the average person looks at and they're like, ugh, that is annoying. I don't like this. Something like, hey, if you don't date trans people, you're transphobic, you're problematic, you're hateful. That is a stupid thing to say. Anybody who's willing to be good faith at all knows that as a fact. Or you're just fucking crazy. I mean, I don't know. So you don't want to engage with anything that they're saying. You're just taking clips out of context, and even the clips you're playing don't even look bad. I mean, the like to dislike ratio on this video is shit for a reason, but this is why people cannot stand internet leftists. Because I'll be standing there looking at the sky, seeing it's blue, and then you have goofy ass Ethan telling me that it's orange and that I'm hateful and problematic for thinking that it's blue. Do you have any idea how infuriating that is? If you want to live on planet Bleep Bloop, that's your prerogative. But everybody else on Earth, we're over here dealing with Earth's problems, okay? You clown fuck. This shit is why your fans don't like you. I know you want to say dumb things like, oh, people are mad because I'm overweight, like you weren't overweight then.
They're just pandering to their fans who don't like me because I'm fat, you know?
This shit, Ethan, if you're watching this is why no one likes you. This is why people don't respect you. Because you are a slimy, lying fuck. And it's sad.
It doesn't take long to look at the whole of Abba and Preach's content to see that it closely resembles anti-SJW content that you might have seen during the Gamergate days. And a significant amount of their content is simply antagonistic towards trans women for a cheap view. A lot of this is something that's called straw feminism, which is where someone takes the most extreme or uncharitable interpretation or representation of women or feminism and uses that as an avatar to argue against the entirety of a concept or a gender or a group, etc.
To my uncle FD here, leader of Cornbread Tube, his name, not mine. I didn't make that cringe shit up. I totally agree that the people that Abba and Preach picked to make fun of, they are not your typical average trans person. You're 100% right. But it's not a straw man argument because they're not using these people to attack all of trans people. Abba and Preach, unlike you, are comedians. They're trying to be funny. They just pick people doing crazy shit and talk about them. It's not that serious. When Abba and Preach are making fun of Fresh and Fit, they're making fun of them as individuals and their extreme and moronic way of thinking.
Only women have the privilege of being stupid, and to be honest, a lot of them are dumb and don't make sense. No offense, ladies.
They're not attacking all of black men. Same thing for trans people. When they say something objectively stupid, they deserve to be made fun of just like everybody else. That's what treating somebody as an equal actually looks like. What you and Ethan are doing is coddling a random group of adults so you can get a YouTube check. Abba and Preach aren't using these individual trans people so they can attack the whole trans ideology. They're calling people by the correct pronouns. They acknowledge that trans people are real, but these people are crying on camera acting like Abba and Preach are burning crosses on Caitlyn Jenner's big ass lawn. At this point, I feel like it's total BS and these people are grifting and pandering for money, or these people are so deep in their extreme ideologies that they completely forgot what real prejudice and racism actually looks like. And not only is that extremely annoying to deal with, but I feel like the only thing these people have actually accomplished is cheapening these words to the average person. Because if you ask an FD signifier or a Hassan, everybody's racist and everybody is transphobic.
Don't get so mad about it. Everyone is transphobic. Trans people are transphobic before they recognize that they're trans. They have internalized transphobia.
Now when it comes to talking about real hate, the only people that are going to want to hear about it is your dumbass little group, because you've been using these words to attack the average person just minding their business for like 10 years straight. And now when a regular person hears about transphobia, they roll their fucking eyes because they have you in their head. But that's my point, because people who are actually empathetic and have strong moral standings don't act like you. I found that people who are on the extreme on either side of the political spectrum are some of the most apathetic and miserable people on this planet. They only care about freedom of speech when it's benefiting them, and they have zero understanding for anyone with a slightly differing opinion. Speaking of differing opinions, I want to end this video with a comment I got from one of my lefty brother-in-arms, BroSoul9323. Kind of sad to see such an Uncle Tom good boy on here. He's literally getting angry at the concept of empathy. Clearly I'm the one with the empathy problem, but he's not done. Let me continue. Good slave. Keep telling those human rights activists, I think he's referring to Hassan Piker, to not take it so seriously, and bro, just get over Jim Crow. Such kind and gracious words from the tolerant left. This comment perfectly sums up how a lot of these empathetic leftists actually think and feel. Kinda racist, apathetic, overly emotional clowns. That's what I see most of the time when I look at an internet leftist.